Good afternoon. My name is Dale Rodriguez, and this is Flabonga Monthrothacube. With me today, I've got Sam Newton. Hey, Sam, how's it going?
Great, thank you, Dale. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit hungry because, like a fool, I schedule these for lunchtime and I don't eat ahead of time, which is really dumb. Like you think I'd have learnt by now.
Yeah, I mean, how many have you done? How many you know with?
Honestly, you might be the 50th guest.
Wow.
And the reason being is I remember like a couple of weeks ago I was doing Italian. It was near like 46, 47, and I've done a couple since then. So this might be the 50th episode of Flabonga Monthrothacube. Oh, it's so hard to say.
I could never say that.
Do you fancy giving it a go? Pretty. Okay. For those who don't know you, who are you and what do you do?
So my name's Sam Newton. I am the co-founder of Gravitate Accounting. So digital accountancy practice set up. In fact, on Monday, it's our fourth anniversary. Fourth anniversary of when we set up on Company's House. So I suppose that's sort of like our official incorporation date, but it took us a couple of months to obviously do a few bits in the background. But yeah, so we'll be celebrating our fourth birthday on Monday. Team of 14, with a couple more in the pipeline to join us. Based in Sheffield and Kelham Island. And yeah, just really pushing the digital side, automation. I suppose a few things we're doing that not everyone's doing is like the outsourced finance direct to work, which is great. It gets us really involved in clients, and I suppose when we're speaking to people in accountancy practice at the minute who are considering going into industry, we can sort of offer them a bit of a hybrid of the two, where they can have some practice experience but take on like finance director roles as a consultant in business. So yeah, that's a bit about us.
Wow, there's so much I want to unpack on that. So thank you for that information. Would you say what you're doing at Gravitate is unique in so much as you're giving people that kind of hybridized, we're working the best of both kind of thing? Because I know there's often, for the uninitiated, there's a huge difference between working in practice and working in industry. So for those who don't know, could you explain the difference between working in industry and working in practice, please?
Yeah, so obviously like practice accounting is you work for an accountancy firm and you'll be responsible for between 10 and hundreds of clients basically, and your job is to make sure they're doing their VAT returns, self-assessment tax returns, year-end accounts, and then maybe if you're doing some more exciting stuff like their budgeting, forecasting, cash flows, management accounts, and all that stuff. So that's practice. And then in industry, you're likely to be doing that for one company. So you're their in-house accountant or management accountant, finance controller, finance director kind of thing. So so one of the reasons why I set up, I suppose, is because I wanted to get closer to businesses. I used to work at a really good digital firm in Sheffield, but I looked after 150 clients maybe. And at times they were saying, "Oh, you need to deliver these management accounts," and I felt like I only had an hour to look at these management accounts as part of my timesheeted budget, and I just felt like in that restricted by a timesheet, it's really hard to do that role and really truly add value. So yeah, how could I have all this knowledge of 150 clients when I only have an hour to spend on each one each month or each quarter, depending? So for me, one of the definitely drivers of setting up on my own was to work closely with businesses. And like I say, so this outsourced finance direct stuff, is it new? Are we unique in doing it? Not unique, but like I speak to other accountants very regularly, very close with some, and they say that's something that they think is the standout service that we offer that many of us don't talk about. So I don't think it's unique, but I don't think as many people are talking about it as much as we talk about it maybe. So
okay, dumb question. Why the name Gravitate?
So again, setting up this business 4 years ago, and I was looking at options, reading all the books, the digital accountancy books, and I think my obvious was going to be something like Newton and Sons or SB Newton or Newton and Ferris, my partner's name at the time, well, my wife's name, maiden name, and then a lot of these books say, look, don't do that, don't go down that route. You're just doing it because everyone else has done that in the past. You should be different. And so we're thinking of what we could do. My name is Sam Newton. So Isaac Newton, Gravity, Gravitate,
Yep.
and so it sort of moved along that line.
Is there an actual relation?
What's that?
Is there an actual relation to Sir Isaac Newton?
I'm going to say yes, just because no one will ever know, but I'm not sure.
I mean, I'm going to fact check it for sure.
Right,
The whole family tree. Making all these bold claims.
Well,
okay, next question.
Someone would have told me if I was. I
feel like you'd know. I feel like you know, right? It's quite famous.
Yeah, it's big.
Is it true that Mike Crocker, your business partner, is better looking than you?
I mean, it's taste, isn't it? Like, some people like the hard-looking bald guy. Some people like the guy with glasses. I'd say he's better looking than me. I think he's a good-looking chap. But
he's a good-looking chap.
Everyone else can decide for themselves. Maybe we could have a poll.
Thank you for humouring me. I know that was a ridiculous question. How did you and he become business partners?
We both. So the company I worked for is called Shorts in Sheffield. Wicked firm. We got tasked with setting up a management accounts department there. So they had a bunch of clients who were year and a bunch of clients who were they saw quarterly or monthly, and everyone was doing a bit of everything. So our job was to take the monthly and quarterly ones and service them ourselves, basically. So we split them up. He took all the good ones because he was there longer than me. I took all the naff ones because he'd been there as an apprentice. I joined as a manager. He gave me all the tricky ones to keep me on my toes. He took all the ones he liked, and then where we set up this management accounts department. And then a few years later, maybe a year after, he got took it into going into industry. So he wanted to get a bit of industry experience, and thought that was going to be the career for him. So he left. I was there for another year or so, and then obviously a couple of zero cons on my belt, and maybe a bad day at the office at Shorts, where I thought maybe I should be looking at doing something myself. I've got a lot of good connections, a lot of good friends who would support me, and so made the jump. And then the 6 months, so he'd sort of left. Sort of talked to me about the benefits of elsewhere, but I was never really that tempted by industries. Like I say, more I wanted to work closer, but still love the compliant, like the practice side of things, and having not been like working with one client day in day out. And so, although he was in my ear a little bit, I set up on my own. And then 6 months later, he said to me, "Look, I love what you're doing. I'm following you. I'm thinking about doing it on my own as well." And yeah, we talked. I was in a slightly better position at the time. I didn't have any kids or anything. He had 2 kids, so he had a lot more pressure. So could he afford to go to nothing and take that risk lesser than me? And for me at that time, I was 6 months in, and I'd probably built a very good consultancy firm, but nothing that could be scaled. It was all reliant on me. Everyone wanted my time, so after a bit of to and fro, we just said, "Look, why don't you buy half the company off me?" He's that kind of person where you wouldn't want 25% or 10%. It would have to be 50-50. And then we'd turn this consultancy business that was doing well into a scalable accountancy practice, basically.
That's cool. That's a cool story. I like that. Like, you kind of knew each other, it weaved in. Like, 'cause some people, like, they talk about their origin stories and they make it sound so glamorous, but yours it's more like it's real, right? You kind of knew each other, worked, kind of, I like that. I like that. Just so you know, Zoe Lacey Cooper is here. Hey, Zoe.
Hi, Zoe.
How's it going? Thanks for joining us. All right, I've asked you some business type questions. I think it's time for some slightly fun questions. Okay. You, like me, are a keen barbecue/smoking enthusiast.
Yes.
Do you have a signature meat, dish, or part of an animal that you like to cook and you do very well, that you're proud of, that comes out fantastic every time?
I mean, I think I just get jealous of your post, to be fair, because I can tell you're one of the guys who goes 100% into it. I'm definitely the kind of person who just will have a barbecue, go to the shops, buy barbecue packs and chuck them on, kind of thing. So I think my admiration for you is because you are way better than me from that perspective. But I'd definitely say cow. There's a very good little farm up the road from us. And just the other day, we got some like ribeye steaks and also some steak and Stilton pies as well. Both were probably enjoyable experiences. So yeah, good steak on the barbecue for sure.
Nice.
But yeah,
how you cooking it? Rare, medium rare, blue?
Well, I'd say rare. Definitely. I wouldn't go blue, but I'm edging closer and closer to blue as it goes along, basically.
I think that happens to most people. Like when I first had steak, it was always, let's have it well done, no blood in it. And then someone gave me medium rare one time. I was like, oh, it's not so bad. And then it gets a little bit bloodier.
Is it maturity thing?
I honestly don't know. I don't know what it is. All I know is my steaks have become juicier and redder as I've gotten older.
So where are you now then? Are you blue or just sealed?
I'll usually go for medium rare, to be honest. That's the kind of company. First of all, just need to say, on one of the 10 commandments of the barbecue, thou shalt not discriminate against barbecue, man. If you go to Tesco and buy some burgers, that's cool. Like it's just a welcome area. Don't diss another person's flame. Yeah. Right? If you barbecue and you're in, that's it.
I'm all about variety.
No snobbery.
Like variety and quantity more so than like being very good at cooking and being able to make good quality. Ooh.
Zoe, question. Got to read it out for people who are listening or watching. Zoe Lacey Cooper. Yes, I like the barbecue talk. Gas or coals? Okay. I prefer coals because I'm used to cooking on a coal barbecue. Like ovens in the kitchen, you get to know your own grill. And my grill is very specific, and I can know how much coals I can put in there to get the kind of desired outcome. I've cooked on gas before, and it confused me. However, again, repeating what I said, thou shalt not discriminate. If someone's grilling, they're grilling, right? Just enjoy the tasty food.
And I am a gas guy, and again, I think it's just because I'm a man of simple. Keep it simple. You know exactly what you're going to get. Coals is again, you've got a bit more timing.
What's the weirdest thing you've cooked on a barbecue?
Weirdest thing. I feel like I need to really come up with something special here, but I'm really struggling.
All right. I mean,
chicken with a beer can stuck up its butt. Not like
oh, you did the whole beer can chicken thing. Did it make it succulent and juicy?
Wicked.
Nice.
Go on. I bet you've got a better one than
me. I saw a video on YouTube on how to cook an egg on the barbecue.
Okay.
And if you cook it for the right amount of time, it cracks a little bit. And on a charcoal barbecue, you get some smoke in it. So it was like a boiled egg but smoked.
Okay.
That was a bit weird. I think that's the weirdest thing I've ever cooked.
Yeah, I spent a year living in Australia, and they obviously just do everything on the barbecue. Breakfast barbecue is a great experience. Just like, and they just crack an egg obviously on a flat griddle thing on top of the barbecue, and then barbecue sauce as well. It's something I've never really had before pre Australia, but it worked.
I'm not gonna lie, I can't stand barbecue sauce.
I mean, you definitely don't like it with breakfast, then.
Don't like ketchup. Don't like barbecue sauce. Maybe mayonnaise. I don't like sauces in general, unless it's like the marinade of what I've cooked, like gravy. I'm not a huge sauce person.
Right. Interesting.
I know. Shame on me. Zoe, back in the comments again. My dad worked for Camping, Gaz, and Calor for 30 years, so I'm a gas girl all day long. Yeah, fair enough. If you've got that kind of lineage, then yeah, you're kind of ingrained with gas, like gas royalty. All right, let's bring it back to work again. What kind of areas or kind of clients do you work with? I know your practice is a generalist practice, as in you will work with any business that will happily work with you, so to speak, within reason. But like, do you find you've gravitated towards a certain client type?
Yeah, I think definitely, like especially recently, we're sort of starting to, whether it's, we talk about our clients quite a lot, and our clients obviously allow that, and so we get to know people in similar industries they refer us on, which is great as well because we do a good job. So I'd say there's like 3 core areas. I think like healthcare, especially a lot of the outsourced FD stuff I do is with a healthcare company, and they're scaling incredibly, basically, over the last few years, and so really getting stuck into the healthcare side of work. And then we've also always worked with a lot of recruitment companies. I think obviously recruitment is a flourishing industry, especially over the last few years. So everyone knows sort of the problems with trying to attract staff and stuff like that. And so recruitment firms are in a great position as sort of that port of call between businesses and individuals to get them in the right places. So we've worked with a lot of recruitment firms, and excitingly recently we started working quite closely with some of like the really cool and trendy restaurants and bars in Sheffield as well. So obviously back to the food theme, we work with like some of the restaurants who are always winning awards, and like cafes who are like massive on Instagram, and some of the best bars you'd want to go to in Sheffield for a night out. So it's nice to work closely with those guys from I suppose that's it.
Are you allowed to say who they are? Or was that protected confidentiality?
I don't think so. I think like I say, we're pretty vocal about who we work with. So we work with a company called Domo, which is like a restaurant down in Kelham Island, really near us. Amazing Sicilian food. We work with a company called Pom Kitchen, who are like they're mega on Instagram. They do all these Instagrammable hot chocolates and iced lattes and all this stuff. And then if anyone's ever been to Sheffield and been to on a night out, you probably end up at Molly Malone's at some point, which is one of our only Irish.
I've been there.
Have you?
I've been there for sure. Yeah, real.
So, like, for some reason, Sheffield only has. I think that's Sheffield's. Well, they've got a few, but that's like they've got a few Irish pubs. I'd say that's our only Irish bar, and it's bouncing most nights of the week, kind of thing. So, they're just a few of the companies we work with. We work with a company called Orange Bird, who are in Hillsborough, so again near to us, who do incredible food. And so it's nice because we'll have team events at these places as well.
Nice.
So it's really good experience.
Okay. So next question, and I think this might be helpful to other restaurateurs or business owners. Are there any particular trends that you've seen in the 4 years you've worked with some of these clients, like especially like hospitality, retail, kind of? It's quite a fast moving industry, and we know that because of like lockdown, for example, they were absolutely decimated. Are there any things that you've done for your clients or things that you've seen in that kind of space?
I think
you might want to give advice about. Or?
Yeah, I think what we're doing well with, because we're I suppose another thing that breaks us apart from other accountancy firms is we are the sort of the flexibility we offer. So if someone came to us and said, I just want you to take over my whole finance function, we'd be able to quote for that and price it based on like the level of transactions that we take on. And we've got a team in-house who are used to doing that. So if they need their records up to date for once a week or once a month, then we can have it ready there and waiting for them, essentially. So it's always they're looking at live data. And we find a lot of these restaurants and cafes and stuff like that, just they start as someone with an idea. And like you say, the ones that are really successful blow up, and then they're so busy. And so what we're doing with these guys, we're doing their full finance function for them. So we are basically saying to them, you just go and sell food and sell alcohols and sell coffees and stuff like that. You focus on the business, and we can do everything else for them. We can literally run their business from the bookkeeping side, payroll, accounts, VAT returns, registering them for all of them, registering a company if they need to set up a company kind of thing. So I think with what we're seeing is the ones that are flourishing are tend to be like, look, I just need someone to take this all off my hands for them. And because we're so flexible.
I thought you were going to say that. I thought you were going to say something like, the ones that are flourishing, they use our services the most.
No, I know.
Kind of what you're saying, but not what you're saying. The ones that trust us to do our jobs are doing really, really well. Gravitate. Sorry.
Yep.
Do you mind if I change gears real quick? First of all, I'm going to jump into the comments because Mark Cowieson is here. Mark Cowieson of LHR Marine Limited. He's kind of like a unofficial sponsor. He sent me some free stuff one time, and it was cool. I was curious to his comments. So I think he's talking about barbecue. So Mark Howson, fit like Faye Aberdeen, gas or wood. The wife tells me I got plenty of both. So it's hard to make a decision. I knew it was going to be something like that because he's a funny guy.
Well, obviously, wood. The whole smoking thing with the wood is the new trend, isn't it? Like, have you got these big green eggs that cost lots of money?
I don't have a big green egg. Mine has always been low budget. I got an oil drum. Okay. That was repurposed. It cost me like 40 quid, and I just drilled some legs onto it and welded some stuff to it. That was it. Like, I've kept it very cheap because I like cooking and I like smoking. I refuse to pay 600 quid for a big block of metal.
Yeah, I mean, I think the kind of people who are using them are using them day in day out, aren't they? And like they're really really keen on it. And we've got a friend who has we've invited us around a couple of times, and it's been incredible. But
Mark's actually asked to. Sorry, go on.
But yeah, should we talk important stuff, not big green eggs?
Well, we'll go back to the eggs later. Mark's actually asked a question. Again, this is one of the reasons why I do the show. People are going to ask questions. I think it's really good to try and get answers from industry experts such as yourself. So Mark asks, what's the best business credit card to link with Xero? Do you mind if I jump in on the answer to that real quick? My question would always be, how do you define best? But Sam, want to add anything to that? Or?
Yeah, I suppose. I suppose part of the question is what is best, and does it need to be a credit card? Can it be an expense card kind of thing? So I'd say, as the question says, best credit card. We see a lot of people getting Amexes. Obviously, Amexes are great. They do link to Xero, which is great. You can have. And obviously, the huge benefit is you can collate points. So you can put all your business costs onto an Amex and start building up points. And those points aren't taxable in any way. So even if you manage to get £1,000 flight from these points by spending all your money on a business Amex, for you to use that, it's not like it's a benefit in kind or anything like that for you to worry about. Dale Rodriguez, I believe you have a question.
You keep saying Amex. Is that the same as an Amex?
Yeah, sorry.
Like, is that just a pronunciation thing?
Yeah.
Not
So American Express.
Because I'm not going to go into pronunciation with you, because that could backfire. Because you're Northern, I'm Southern. I don't want to start that beef.
Yeah. So Amex or Amex.
Amex. That's a weird. I've never heard anyone else.
The A's big, isn't it? It's capital, so maybe.
Yeah, but if your last name is Armstrong, you don't say Armstrong.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
True.
Come on. Let's change gears again. Behind you, there's lots of cool stuff. I always like asking people about their live stream place. What's going on behind you? What's happening? What's this about?
So Mike decided he was going to build a recording studio, and he hasn't recorded anything yet. Well, we have done some recording. Like we've got like a Rode microphone here. We've got like a Canon expensive-ish camera that he was like confident that he was going to record so much stuff on, and then it's just never quite happened. But so we've got, that is a Sheffield FC football top. So we are sponsors of Sheffield FC, the oldest football club in the world. Nice. So we've got some like a certificate and a copy of the first football rules. When I first set up Gravitate, we got these, fell in love with these hats. And like I say, at the time, I had about 10 clients and it was just me. But the minimum order was about 200 hats. But I just loved them so much. They were like the American style ones where it said like Gravitate Accounting around the thing. You see them with like American football teams and stuff. So they became a thing. So we've got 4 versions of our Gravitate hats that we do once a year.
Nice.
We've got.
Oh, quick question. If I want to get one of those hats, which I know would be kind of funny because I work for a rival firm / practice, how would I go about getting one of those?
I can offer you. Let's see what version I've got here. I can offer you version 4.
I'll take it. Thanks.
In the post, very hot. Like you need that in when it's cold. Like, as in like snowing outside, that'll keep you nice and warm.
I mean, because you actually were really kind and sent me some Gravitate beer, and it was delicious, by the way.
There's some
honestly,
Gravitate beer over there. We've got a few left. I mean, I think probably out sell by date now, but.
I'm not going to ask for any more because obviously you need those for potential customers and clients and stuff like that. But honestly, thank you for sending me that stuff. It was really cool. I think it's such a great idea for branding. So you've got the hats, you've got the beer.
Yeah. Got a few books there behind my head.
I can see selling to serve. I can see that.
Big proposal on James Ashford fans. To be fair, like when setting up the business, I'd say Xero was key for us, and then Go Proposal was mega for our business. So big fans of theirs.
Question from LinkedIn user, who I think I know, because the only person that ever appears as LinkedIn user. If you were to drink a Vespa Martini, would it be shaken or stirred?
I'd probably stir it, to be honest. But equally, I don't know what the Vespa element brings to it. So, do you?
I can't remember either. I would have it shaken just because that's how James Bond has it.
Okay.
Like, he says shaken, not stirred, so I'd have it how he has it.
True.
That makes me a simple creature. Is there an inside joke in there? Is that someone that knows you and they're making a joke? No? Just a random question.
Just a big fan of this title that I can't name.
You're not going to try, are you? I'm not going to trick you into doing it at all.
Just keep looking at it and being scared. So maybe we'll try it off air.
Okay. You also mentioned other areas that you work in. So you mentioned kind of hospitality, health sector. Is that difficult to work in? Because am I right in saying that with health, VAT isn't always applicable, or the rules are a bit different? Is that correct?
Yeah, there's definitely a bit of that. So I work with a company called Unity Health Group, and one of the businesses in the group. So there's a physiotherapy business. So the reason why they've grown exponentially is because obviously with GP surgeries being overrun, they contract to the NHS basically. So if you phone up your GP and say, I've got a muscular injury, they will, instead of putting you in a long waiting queue to see someone, your GP, what this company does is they place first contact physios into primary care networks. And so instead of waiting ages for that, you go direct to the physio basically. And so now they cover, I think it's something like 150 primary care networks across the country, supporting, helping free up the NHS. So obviously with all the stresses that currently is on the NHS and the GP surgeries and themselves, it's a great thing to be part of, because it tends to be NHS funded. So the GP practice is supported by the NHS, and so there's a minimal cost to them, and they're being able to free up and see the clients who really need help from the GP side. So it's quite an exciting company to be involved in. And there's also a rehab element to the company, so serious injury. I luckily got a serious injury and was out of that client the next day. So I had two very qualified people looking at my knee the day after I did it. I was basically in tears.
I was so gutted when you mentioned that you had the serious injury, because I was, I follow you on LinkedIn, and I was following your progress for training for the marathon you're going to do. And I was like, he's going to do it. He's going to do it. Because, respect you. And then you were like, I'm really injured. I'm like, no. I was genuinely upset.
I think I generally was not depressed, but heading that way. Running is definitely something for me to, if I've had a long day, I can just go out, run for half an hour, clear my head, and it really helps. And having that taken away from me definitely was tough the last couple of months. So I feel quite lucky to have got this surgery that there's pretty much 3 or 4 weeks, that 3 weeks down the line, I'm way better than I was pre-operation. And in another week or so, I'll probably be back to where I was before I got the injury. So I feel very lucky that I've managed to bounce back like that. And like I said, I was just lucky that I was out of that client the next day. I was thinking everything was over. Have I done my ACL again, which is an injury that takes 9 months to recover from, which I've done twice before.
Yep.
And then worrying about the impact that would have on my business and my family life, being able to chase my kids around the park is out the window for 6 months. So it was pretty poor, pretty sad times. But like I said, now 2 or 3 months down the line, I'm close to where I was before. So bounced back quickly, and like I said, having this rehab client there who could almost just advise me straight away was quite nice.
What advice would you give to startup firms, smaller firms or practices looking to work with healthcare professionals? Any kind of things that they should watch out for or need to understand better that isn't within the general confines of bookkeeping or accounting?
I think healthcare is such a huge area. We don't work. We have previously worked with some GP practices. So, and I think we did some outsourced bookkeeping for them, and we sort of replaced an old finance manager who was leaving. So we were able to do that level of work. But anything after that, I think you definitely need to have specific general practice knowledge. So I think it is definitely a niche area, and there's I'd say know your boundaries. We were capable of doing the bookkeeping and stuff like that for them, and working with their practice manager, but we knew we didn't want to take that relationship any further because it's not something we've done historically, and there are certain areas to it. Like you mentioned already, VAT in healthcare can change. So we work with an acupuncturist, basically, as one of our clients, and like I said, we've got this physiotherapy client, and the acupuncture therapist isn't classed as medical, or like, so it's not that. It's not vatable. Sorry, it is vatable, whilst the physiotherapy side is. So, yeah, it's just making sure you know the in-depth of VAT, because that's often one of the most complex areas that affects certain parts of healthcare, basically.
I've realised I've forgotten that I've asked you not to ask. I've forgotten I haven't. Oh my goodness, can't even get my words out. I usually ask most accountants or bookkeepers the following question, and I haven't asked you this yet. It's usually a warm-up question. I asked it to Sharon. I asked it to Graham. You know Graham Tannock, right? You guys are buddies, yep. I assume. Both cool people. In layman's terms, what is a journal?
What is a journal? God,
yeah.
I wish I'd watched.
Accountants love journaling stuff. Like, oh, we'll journal it over. Year end, we'll do some journals. Like, what the hell's a journal?
I wish I watched Graham's episode to see what he said. I bet he'll have nailed this question. I would say a journal is a way of moving amounts around the balance sheet or profit and loss account. So between different nominal codes, so they sit in the right place, or essentially. We'll leave it at that.
What does that mean?
Well,
no jokes. I'm not trying to put into pressure. I'm not trying to make it silly. But can we dumb that down a bit? So what is a nominal code, for example?
So a nominal code is how. So in a profit and loss account, you're going to have sales, and you're going to have, some companies will just have one sales nominal account. So that is where all your sales are kept. Some companies, so like for example, Gravitate Accounting probably has about 50. So we have recurring year-end accounts, recurring VAT returns, recurring. And then we have non-recurring year-end accounts. So if we did a one-off catch-up job, so we have all our sort of sales lines, I suppose, are in different nominal codes, so we can track where our revenue comes from. Likewise with expenses, obviously with expenses, you can have hundreds of expense categories: travel, motor, subsistence, salaries, and all that lot. So a journal. From an expense side is saying, some of that cost that's in travel should relate to a different area. So I'm going to journal it from one nominal to another. There are certain journals, like for example payroll, where you would put in a payroll journal, because the full transaction of how you pay it out of the bank isn't necessarily how it sits in a set of accounts, for example.
Thank you for explaining. I know I was kind of I was kind of being a bit mean because I'll put you on some pressure, but no, that's genuinely helpful, because I'll explain why I asked that question. It wasn't to catch you out. It's one of the things I've observed by being in the sector is that the work and the nuances that some accountants do is not necessarily understood, and I think clients don't necessarily value what a good accountant will do. And when accountants can explain that actually that's what they're doing when they're journaling things over, and the actual impact that can have on a business. So I know, for example, we've received clients where they've been from other firms of practice who aren't, not been arrogant, aren't as good as us. And there's loads of things and transactions sitting in the director's loan account, which can have repercussions for that person on their personal tax and the corporation tax of the business. And one of our team will journal it to the right place. And, well, there we go. It's completely compliant, completely legal. It's just someone else has been lazy and not done their job properly. And it's sitting in the wrong place in the account. So that's why I asked you that question.
Yeah.
I want people to know that you know your stuff.
We talk a lot about, like, we call it like dark arts accounting, where accountants do stuff and don't explain what they're doing and the reason why they're doing it. And we have a lot of clients who come to us because for that very reason, where their previous accountant just isn't telling them what they're doing and why they're doing it. So we try and spend time with all our clients, educating them why we're doing it and the reason and the implications that has. And so it limits those adjustments that need to be made at the end of the year or the end of the month or the end of the quarter, because the things tend to be placed in the right place from the start.
do you have any questions for me?
Do I have any questions for you? What was your favourite part of the digital accountancy show where we met for the first time, having chatted for numerous years? For me,
Yeah. My favourite part. I was going to say something really lame, like meeting you for the first time. It was amazing, but that wasn't my favourite part. I'm not going to lie. Honestly, so I went to the digital accounting show to bring back some knowledge to Creston Reeves. So there were other speakers there speaking about how they can expand or enhance their digital advisory service offering or enhance their team. And there were 3 speakers I went there specifically to see. And I came back with a ton of notes, things that they've tried, things that have worked, things that haven't worked. Yeah, and literally just took those things away. And that was generally, that was value add. Because a lot of people think, going to certain exhibits or shows is a jolly or a day at the office. I'm not gonna lie, there's an element of that. It's very nice seeing people. You and I had a beer, it was great. But there was stuff that I did in the day that was genuinely of value to me as an individual, my role at Creston Reeves, and hopefully actually for the wider firm. So that was one of the best parts. I actually got to speak or listen to some people who have done more than me in this industry and learn from them. So yeah. But meeting you was nice too, by the way, because you're right, we've been talking for a while, messaging. I think I slid into your DMs at one point, and it was nice actually meeting you face to face.
For sure.
For sure. Let's see, what else can I ask you? Or we run in dry? Should we just call it quits? Should we just boom, end it there?
It's completely up to you. Got plenty of work to do.
Oh, in that case, I'll take the hint. Thank you all for those who've commented. Thank you, Sam. Wait, one last question. Do you ever get called Samuel? And when was the last time you got called Samuel?
No.
Unless your name's Samantha, because that would...
So, no, and the reason why, there's a reason. So I'm christened Sam Benjamin Newton. And that's because my mum didn't know whether you spelled Samuel with an E or A, so she just didn't bother. So it's just Sam.
That is gangster. No, seriously, that's great. Yeah. I think you can spell it both ways, right?
I think so, yeah. I think if you write down Samuel with an A, it does look a bit weird though. I think it was like I was on like a PS4 name or something like that once, and I remember setting up and thinking, damn, that looks weird. And then everyone I just played with were like, that looks weird. And I was like,
that's cool. I've got a friend called Jim, and his christened name is Jim. That's Jim. It's not James. Yeah. It's Jim. So, Mark coming in with a joke. Was your nickname Isaac?
Yeah, I got Jimmy Neutron for a while when that cartoon popped up, but no, never. I don't think I was ever clever enough for Isaac.
Now that you said it, I can't unsee it. Until you said it. Yeah, if you just grew the front out a little bit more with a bit of a quiff. Oh my gosh. Thank you. Let's end it there. Again, Sam, thank you for joining me. Thank you for people who've been watching. Thank you for people who've been commenting. Thank you for people who might listen to us later. Hopefully you found this useful. Hopefully you found it entertaining. I'm going to hit end broadcast and we're just going to leave it there. Have a good afternoon.